Hello, everybody, and welcome to WCW Live on WCW.com. It's Jeremy Borash live back in beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida, for another bash at the beach. Hello, Bob.
Hello, Jeremy.
Things are really heating up here in Daytona Beach as we get closer and closer to the pay-per-view. It's coming up this Sunday night, Bob, and we're going to be, through the course of the program tonight, an abbreviated version of WCW Live, but we are nonetheless going to bring you the features you love every Friday night, the Friday Night Roundtable. We'll have the latest news and updates. Chad Damiani is going to be here as we're going to predict the winners of the pay-per-view, and also...
I always win that, don't I?
You usually do pretty well. But also a new contender joins us tonight in
2 in a row.
Yes, I know you've been victorious 2 pay-per-views in a row.
The new contender.
Oh.
This will be her second appearance in a row.
Right. Predicting the pay-per-views tonight for our first female perspective, the lovely Spice, formerly of the Nitro Girls, now, of course, co-host of WCW.com's Hacked Into, which comes your way 90 minutes prior to showtime this Sunday on WCW.com. Bob, a lot of news to talk about today. We're going to be going over some things throughout the course of the evening tonight, talking about the World Wrestling Federation and the appeal that the USA Television Network has made in the courts, and, of course, some last-minute news on what we're going to be seeing this Sunday, a number of injuries to report and some things that may change the card as we know it now for this Sunday on pay-per-view. Bob, traditionally, Bash at the Beach has always been a real historic pay-per-view going back to 1996 at this very arena. Was not this very arena actually, but it was in Orlando.
Arena. No, it was this arena.
It was this arena.
Yep.
Chad Damiani's advice there. I'm looking right at the notes he gave me. Was this arena where it was indeed Hulk Hogan who turned his back on his fans and joined the NWO.
Yeah, and I think if people want to look at one event that really helped change the course of WCW's history, that was it. It was a situation where the Outsiders had just shown up a couple of weeks before that pay-per-view, and they promised to deliver a third member of that group, and when Hulk Hogan came out, everyone in the crowd thought he was coming out to help Randy Savage, but as it turned out, he turned his back on the fans, and the rest is history. It was one of the most incredible reactions I've ever seen. I was there live. The people in the audience went absolutely nuts, throwing stuff into the crowd, from the crowd into the ring, and tearing up Hulk Hogan signs. Little kids were crying. It was really something unique, something that I had never witnessed at a wrestling show before.
Yeah, it's real interesting to see how that's come along, and obviously Hulk Hogan is at the subject of a lot of controversy right now, seeing he was on a Tampa radio station, I guess, yesterday, or actually today, this morning, and talked about the pay-per-view this Sunday. I guess this is going to be a real turning point in his career, I think, either way, whatever happens this Sunday.
You never know, and, as far as his appearances on the radio shows, I mean, he's done so many of these kind of things. If you think back to the comments he made about Billy Kidman several months ago, that turned into a storyline that he says he was really kind of using that radio appearance to plant the seeds for what came with Kidman, and who knows what he's doing now. I know he's made some comments that are pretty controversial, but is it part of a storyline? Is it building a foundation for something that's going to come in the weeks to come? I really don't know. With Hulk Hogan, it's hard to predict.
It's interesting because you hear him on these radio shows. I'm just looking at some of his quotes, and they're absolutely amazing. They're preposterous, first of all, that he's making these statements. I think when you take a look at the fact, and I'm reading a quote here saying that his son Nick has better ideas than Bischoff and Russo. When a guy like that...
Nick's a pretty smart guy.
Nick's, no doubt about it. Nick's a smart guy. But you obviously have to take this with a grain of salt. Does he really think this, or is he just playing to the crowd?
No, I can't imagine anybody in the right mind that would think that that Nick, God bless him, would have anywhere near the knowledge that a Russo or Eric Bischoff would have, and why he's making those comments, I really don't know. Maybe he's frustrated. I mean, we've heard some stories about he doesn't want to come in and do some things that he's been asked to do, and that might be just that frustration kind of spilling over to the radio, but he's done these kind of interviews before, and I think you just have to kind of take what he says with a grain of salt. Don't know really how serious he is about what he's saying, but it is pretty interesting reading.
Absolutely. Chad Damiani, your thoughts on this?
Well, I did hear one of Nick's ideas, and it was a spoiler on a Sid Vicious Jeff Jarrett match where the Teletubbies run in. I thought it was fantastic. I think, to be more serious for a minute, if I can bring it down, Hulk Hogan is a guy that you can never predict what he's going to do, and that's what makes him so exciting. There's been a lot of rumors on the internet that the reason we haven't seen him for the past few weeks, beyond the fact that we have to pay an enormous amount of money to have him at Nitros and Thunders, was the fact that he would be asked to do something at Bash at the Beach that he doesn't want to do. We don't know that's true, nor do we know if the Hogan political machine can make a last-minute move this Sunday and come out on top. And I think for smart fans, for fans who listen to shows like this, that's what makes Bash at the Beach such an interesting situation, because I'll tell you, as much as I've heard back and forth, I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea if what Hogan wants to happen will take place on Sunday or if booking plans will go as planned, nor do I even know what those booking plans are.
Obviously, this is a kind of pay-per-view where there's the interest involved from a storyline perspective is almost twofold. In the fact you obviously want to find out who's going to be the world champion. You obviously want to find out what's going to happen in the Nash-Goldberg match. I think even more interesting to the Internet fans is what does this mean? If Goldberg is defeated, that means we see Scott Hall back, and that means that decision has been, I guess, reversed from what we had heard. Also, if Hulk Hogan wins the world title this Sunday, obviously I think that's going to be some telling things to things we're going to be seeing in the future. So I think the interest and the intrigue on the pay-per-view is both from a storyline perspective interesting, but also from behind-the-scenes perspective interesting as well.
Yeah, for the Internet fans in particular, sometimes behind-the-scenes stuff is more interesting and more entertaining than what you see on TV. And the last month especially has been that kind of thing. You never know what's going to happen. Vince Russo hasn't been around. Eric Bischoff hasn't been at the last couple of shows. Hulk Hogan's making all kinds of comments on radio stations. Goldberg, his situation, you never know what to expect from him. So I don't know. The Scott Hall thing, we've heard both that he's coming back, that he's not coming back. It's impossible to guess, and we're this close to the event and still don't have any idea what it is. And I'm not sure what Chad Damiani's pointing at, but I don't want to know either. We'll just have to deal with that at another time. Spice, what do you think about the pay-per-view coming up?
First of all, let me regain composure, Mr. Damiani, again with my co-host. Actually, to bring it down a moment, if I may, in his words, I really think, this. You guys are absolutely right. This pay-per-view is so anticipated because there's been so much coming into it with everything with what we discussed last week, with people not showing up to do the things that they're supposed to do. A lot of inmates running the asylum, I think, was kind of, so to speak, what we were discussing last week. Yeah, and so we've got that. We've got injuries. We've got, of course, Hulk Hogan and the unpredictableness of the situation. So I think that you're absolutely right, Bob, in saying that the backstage is just as exciting as what's going to be happening. I'm sitting here all weekend long with my ear to the ground saying, what is going to happen? Because it's just, there's so much anticipation because I don't think anybody truly knows. We don't know who's going to show up, what's going to happen, what the outcome of the match is, and it's going to be pretty
And one of the weird things is we don't know any of that, and the backstage stuff is so interesting. It could be that some of that backstage stuff is going to find its way on camera and turn into storylines that could really carry us through the rest of the summer. I really don't know what to expect, but if we can find a way to turn some of that intrigue that we see behind the scenes to something that happens on camera, much like the WWF did a couple of years ago with Vince McMahon and Bret Hart, that whole situation turned into one of their most successful storylines. If we can do the same thing, you never know what could happen.
Let's not forget the outlying factors of things like Vince Russo's possible return, the great Muta possibly showing up, and we've heard the rumors of that.
You guys, I mean, as we talk about this, and you have to consider this also, how much of what is happening backstage is a work on all of us at the same time. That's one of the most interesting aspects. I mean, we've all had jobs outside of professional wrestling, but with WCW specifically, half the things that are taking place backstage that are drawing intrigue under the regime of guys like Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff, the Bill Banks, the Ed Ferraras, Terry Taylors, they work us against ourselves. They have us disseminating information that we believe is true, when actuality they have a handle on things that we don't understand. It's so complex when you think about the layers. I mean, first you have a booking committee that is dealing with attitudes and politics and egos and limitations by standards and practices. You have a backstage people like ourselves who are getting information from them that's either true or untrue on purpose. And when you add in the variables of injury, like Spice talked about, and also, of course, the fact that we are at a tumultuous time where we are trying to make things happen, which makes split-second decisions par for the course. They take place all the time. Sometimes we have referees getting decisions in their earpieces to change finishes of matches because that's the kind of company we are right now. Now, half the time, Bob, it's not something that I like, but the truth is it is an unpredictable nature that has probably been one of the saving graces of our company right now.
And one of the problems has been that because of the internet, a lot of times you know what's going to happen, and it takes some of the fun out of it. You don't have surprises like we used to have. You don't have things that really can make your jaw drop. I don't think anybody really expected, or not many people expected, Hogan to do what he did in 1996. At that point, the internet was kind of in its early stages, and we didn't have the widespread information that's available today. If something like that could happen again now and just totally catch everybody by surprise, catch us all off guard, then it's something that we could build on.
Absolutely. And in talking to Bill Banks and trying to get some news, some scoops, in regards to the booking meetings and how they've gone, he's not talking, and I don't think anybody is. And I think that means either the element of surprise is going to be there on Sunday.
So for once, where Bob Ryder has taken advantage of his backstage sources to completely squash us in these pay-per-view prediction WCW lives, I think for once Bob Ryder is playing on the same even playing field as the rest of us.
Oh, that'd be a first.
I wouldn't quite go that far. No.
Oh,
No,
so you do know some of the finishes.
Yeah, maybe I'm in on the work.
Come on now. Come on. Plays that wild card very well, does he? All right, we are here in Daytona Beach, Bash at the Beach this Sunday, and that's going to be a big pay-per-view, not only because of the actual 3-hour broadcast, but what happens beforehand, which is hacked into. It's going to be Chad Damiani and the Lovely Spice. I understand, Bob, today cameras were rolling on the beach here in Daytona Beach, right outside of our hotel room here, the beautiful place we're staying at right on the beach, and I understand that some footage was made today, and it's going to be very interesting.
Well, I was wondering how they were going to kind of follow up on what happened at the last pay-per-view. I was hoping they wouldn't follow up on it with Chad getting the Nitro Girl tryout, but my sources tell me that there's a possibility that you're going to see nudity on this hacked into, and it's unfortunately going to involve not Spice but Chad.
I heard that there's even, well, I'm not going to say it, but there are some things planned. Chad,
you guys want a spoiler? I mean, you want a little tease? Because Spice, and I don't mean to call you out right now, but I saw that footage you guys speak of, and at one point, Spice had an outfit on that made a piece of floss blush. We're talking skimpy.
Well, we still do have standards and practices, even on our show, so maybe and maybe
not. Well, considering my standards, after a lot of young men see that video, they're going to be practicing all weekend. Yada, yada, yada.
All right, anyways.
And just to clear things up, it's going to be partial nudity. Chad, you have a shower scene.
We can't discuss that.
Can't discuss the shower scene yet. You just have to tune in.
Well, I digress. I guess the thing we're telling you, gang, is that there are going to be bikinis. There are going to be lovely gals. Some of the lovely gals you see on WCW television every week. I'm talking about Tigress. I'm talking about Paisley. I'm talking about, of course, the lovely Spice, who we talked about. And some of the other gals, I understand, are going to be here in Daytona Beach for Hacked Into on Sunday.
Gals. And there's also a lot of drama and intrigue. We, Spice and I, have built some stuff from last Hacked Into that we are going to follow up on.
Yes.
Certain challenges that she made to me that will be answered.
And vice versa.
No, but it's going to be a real interesting day because actually, for Jeremy, Spice, and myself, we are pulling double duty on Sunday. We are rock stars in many ways because as we are Jeremy, who will be doing our pay-per-view Crisis Center for Hacked Into, we will also be on the national pre-show.
Yes, we will. It's going to be 5 hours long.
This ain't cable access, Spice. This is big time. 20 million viewers, 40 million homes.
Who are you talking to? I am ready for the big time. You, on the other hand, I don't think you are.
You look like that girl who got cut in Showgirls after like the first dance. That's what I'm saying. You can't ride with me.
You're walking.
I'm getting the phone about.
I understand the next pay-per-view is going to be like a 24-hour pre-show.
And he won't be on a minute of it. But, I do have to say something, Bob, which you led into a moment ago before Chad so rudely interrupted.
Does he do that to you on your show?
Always, nonstop. But, last month on Hacked Into, as many of our viewers saw, we did do a little package with the Nitro Girls. I don't know if people recalled me saying he's trying to get me fired. Well, it's not that I got fired, but I was moved on from the Nitro Girls after that experience, if you will. And now,
well, can you really blame them? I mean, you have.
I can't. I mean, I had to do a lot of begging, a lot of pleading, trying to to explain, his insanity, but it didn't matter. I mean, they said, hey, if obviously you're not thinking about the good of the group.
Did they give you a choice, dump Chad or leave?
Pretty much, I was given an ultimatum.
Or did she make the wrong decision?
I know. It's the good in me. It's the good in me. I felt that,
I think it's that pheromone cologne I've been wearing.
Oh, for the love of God.
But, you're not, you may have moved on now officially. Spice is now an announcing talent. And also, of course, you can see her at first date ticket sales and things like that. But there's one last step for you to move on, and we're gonna tackle that on Sunday. Because in this very city, 3 years ago, and by the way, Jeremy, that note I wrote you, Orlando Arena, was 1994 when Hulk Hogan beat Ric Flair. But in this very city, in that very arena, was when a young girl, and I'll use her real name, named Melissa, because this is poignant, came into the wide-eyed and angry world of professional wrestling, not knowing what she'd see as a Nitro girl. You, Melissa, debuted with this company 3 years ago on this weekend.
Absolutely. It is officially the 3-year anniversary of the Nitro Girls. So I'm here in Daytona, 3 years to the weekend, and I haven't been back here since.
Would you like me to sing Greatest Love of All?
No, that's okay. You can hold that for now, but thank you for offering. And it's just, I can't believe how far I have come and all the experiences I've had in this crazy world of wrestling. I wouldn't change a moment. And it's just kind of ironic almost that literally on my anniversary, probably within weeks there surrounding, I have moved on from being a Nitro girl. So it's bittersweet. It's really, it's a great new step that I'm taking, but it's kind of sad to...
Do you remember your first pair of sequin pantyhose?
I remember everything.
Because I remember them.
No, you don't.
In fact, I think I stole them from the locker room and still have them in my bedroom at my parents' house.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure. I'm trying to share special memories, and you have to go.
Well, I had some very special memories with those pantyhose.
I don't need to hear about that.
But, I bring this up not to make you sad, not to see those big brown eyes cry, but because we will be addressing it, Bob Ryder and Jeremy Borash, this very weekend. We are going to have, I don't know what's going to take place, and fans are going to have to tune in to see, but this is the 3-year anniversary, and if you think Hacked Into isn't going to maybe take a look back, maybe hear some stories that have never been revealed about the original Nitro Girls, or as I used to call them, the Bomb Squad. It will take place, and fans of Hacked Into will be the best Hacked Into yet, which means it's the best of 3. But Jeremy, please save me here because I think Spike needs a hug, and I'm going to give her one because I made her sad.
Obviously, there's a lot of emotion in the room tonight. We are actually doing this show from the hotel room that I'm staying in.
Brown spot on
that I don't know where that came from. But I think, Bob, it's obviously going to be a big weekend for World Championship Wrestling. No doubt about it.
Very big.
We got in fact, yesterday and started recording things for both the pre-show and for Hacked Into. You're going to be on the pre-show with me as well. We're going to be talking about some of the history.
I'm the historian of the group, right?
The historian being our elder. Of course, you're going to be the historian of the group, Bob.
The elder of the group.
The elder of the group.
The old guy that remembers everything.
Yes. Unfortunately, George Burns passed away. You take his spot.
The guy who went to primary school with Lou Thez. That's Bob's role.
By the way, a movie was... What?
That's not true.
A movie was viewed last night. We were so exhausted, we ordered a pay-per-view movie last night and didn't make it a moment through it. You guys watched it? Oh, okay. Well, it was a long night. I guess I'll put it to you that way. We worked well into the late evening hours on this, and we're really looking forward to bringing it to you this Sunday, both Hacked Into and, of course, the 5-hour pre-show. If you have Comcast cable, you can pick this up. Just check your local cable provider. And all the dishes are going to be carrying it. It goes on the air at 3 o'clock Eastern Time.
And, Jeremy, it's important to point out, we've only done a few of these 5-hour pre-shows, but this is completely different. Actually, you and I had a big hand in it. This won't be just a Barker show where two guys sit there like the QVC baseball card guys and try to sell you pay-per-view. We've actually put together, and we sort of alluded to it, saying Bob was a historian. This will be a 5-hour complete overview of WCW, all the storylines, all the superstars, never-before-seen interviews, special commentary from our announcing team, and a lot of live guests. It's really, if you are a WCW fan, and especially, Bob, we've heard statistics recently that some of our fans can only catch about 2 shows a month. This is an opportunity for a real fan to come in and get caught up with clips and interviews and live guests on every single storyline going right now in WCW.
Yeah, and not only the current storylines, but what really went into making this pay-per-view one of the major shows for WCW. Certainly will lead into what's built up to this pay-per-view, but I think traditionally this has always been one of the biggest shows of the year for WCW, and I think this year's going to be no different.
And, of course, it's going to be headlined by a number of great matches, but specifically we're talking about Goldberg and Kevin Nash. Intriguing match for a number of reasons. First of all, obviously, Kevin Nash is the one who put the winning streak to an end for Goldberg going back, and obviously that was a big match. Now the roles are kind of reversed. The heel baby face side of things are reversed, and I'm going to be interested to see how this match plays out. Being it's that will Retribution be paid for, or Retribution be paid for that avenging win?
In all of the all those big words. All of the times that Goldberg, and there's not very many, that he's been beat, there's always been questionable outcomes, and I think that's one thing that really eventually has to happen. Somebody's going to have to get a decisive, clean victory over him. With him being a heel, it's more likely for something like that to happen at some point. Whether it's going to be this weekend or not, I don't know, but Kevin Nash is probably going to match up with him better than anybody else in the company, and as you said, he's the one that really ended the first winning streak.
Let's go ahead and run down the rest of the card for you. Our predictions coming up yet in the program as well. Cruiserweight title match, Lieutenant Loco goes one-on-one with Juventud Guerrera. The Juice will be gunning for that Cruiserweight belt. Graveyard match is going to be Demon and Vampiro. Understand they're going to be doing some amazing things with this match, and it's going to be taking place in an actual graveyard. Positively Canyon goes one-on-one with Booker T. Big Vito defends the Hardcore belt, a mystery opponent who has not been named, from what we understand. We'll just have to wait till the pay-per-view to find out who it's going to be. A few surprises, a few possibilities I've heard tossed around that would make this a very interesting hardcore match, but Big Vito will be involved in it one way or another. Wedding gown match, Miss Hancock takes on Daphne. We know the story there. One of these gals will be stripped down to their bare essentials.
Essentials?
The essentials.
That's some of the best essentials. Oh, well, no.
Right. United States Championship match, Scott Steiner's going to be there to take on the career killer Mike Awesome. The Mullet Man himself will be there gunning for Scott Steiner and may possibly end up with the
Now, what's the definition of a mullet again?
The mullet, I've got two definitions. Would you like to hear them both? Sure. Mullet is the kind of hairstyle that could be described as business in the front, party in the back.
Okay, what's the other what's the other definition?
The other definition of mullet would be Saturday night in the back, Sunday morning on top.
Okay, so basically it's short on top, long in the back.
Correct.
So I have a mullet.
No, you have nothing on top.
These are just minor details.
I'm just working out the mullet.
Kind of being picky.
Jeremy, may I point something out too?
Yes.
And I know you've had some trouble with words tonight, especially those of the polysyllabic variety, but it's actually pronounced mulet.
Thank you for that correct.
It is of French origin.
Chronic's going to be
taking. My favorite singer is Robert Gullett.
Chronic's going to be taking on the perfect event. That one's for the tag team titles. Buff Bagwell goes one-on-one with the franchise Shane Douglas. Kevin Nash and Goldberg with Scott Hall's contract on the line. And for the World Heavyweight title, Hollywood Hogan takes on World Champion Jeff Jarrett. We're going to get our predictions on that. First, just a quick discussion about one of the happenings earlier this week, that an appeal was filed by the USA Network, an attempt to reverse the decision that would allow the World Wrestling Federation to move its television to Viacom, namely TNN and some specials with CBS, we understand, and MTV. What does that mean, Bob, with this appeal being filed? Is that something everyone expected?
I don't think a lot of people expected it, frankly. I don't know why people didn't expect it. It makes perfect sense. But just to recap what's happened in the last 2 weeks. Last week, of course, the news came that the WWF had won the lawsuit and USA had lost, which meant that the WWF was going to be able to move their programs from USA to TNN and MTV, owned by CBS Viacom. And that's huge news because it starts a chain reaction. What's going to go on USA to take the place of those shows once they move? What's going to happen with ECW? They've been dropped from TNN. Will the ratings stay the same with WWF? So many questions. And now we've got a bigger question because the next week, this past week, we got news that apparently USA is prepared to appeal that ruling, which could basically tie up everything for months to come. And depending on whether they're able to get a stay from the judge that would mean that WWF couldn't air on any other network, it's not out of the question that maybe WWF won't have a place to put their program come September. A lot of questions. I don't think that's very likely to happen. But I would think that what's happened is Barry Diller, who is, of course, the top guy at USA, has been the receiving end of a lot of negative headlines since they lost the case last week. And it's been pretty embarrassing in all the trade press. I would think that what he's done is he's tried to fire back to get some of the trade talk going the other direction. And if anything, I think he's positioning for some kind of a settlement. I think what's going to happen is CBS is going to wave some money at Barry Diller and USA, and they're going to go away, and everything will work out. Now, what that means as far as wrestling on USA, I don't know. I would think that they're going to come up with something, but if they don't, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how it all shakes out.
Is Barry Diller looked upon as a bad decision maker for not agreeing to a settlement with this?
Well, they had an opportunity, and I think that when you look at Barry Diller, he's a lot like Ted Turner, a lot like Rupert Murdoch. He's a real heavyweight in the cable industry, and the offer that was made to him was one that he didn't think was a very fair offer. He was insulted by it, and I think that he kind of got stubborn and made a decision that ended up not being the right one. He could have taken the settlement and ended up getting several $1 million for losing the program, and as it is, he got nothing for it. One thing, though, that's interesting about this appeal, the court case, most people thought that the WWF was going to win the case, but they thought they were going to win because of the fact that USA didn't match the entire contract. The judge ruled that they didn't have to match the entire contract. Of course, CBS Viacom was offering things outside of wrestling. They were offering a lot of production opportunities with different kind of programming, some football programming. And the judge said that that wasn't part of the original deal, and that USA didn't have to match that. There were only a couple of minor technical things that happened that caused the WWF to win that lawsuit, and it's very possible that an appeals court might look at it differently. So it's kind of up in the air. I'm not sure what's going to happen. It is very interesting. It's something we're going to follow for the next few weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this end up taking another couple of twists and turns before it's over with.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll keep a close eye on that and keep you updated on the latest happenings there on WCW Live. Kind of a weird week, a unique week for us in the fact that we didn't have a show last night, and Wednesday we were abbreviated as well. Our schedule will resume to normal programming next week. Obviously, a lot of involvement from all of us here on this pre-show, this 5-hour pre-show that's going to happen starting at 3 o'clock this Sunday, and a lot of involvement with Bash at the Beach. So for you WCW Live fans, we are going to be back to our normal schedule this coming Monday with Reload.
Jeremy, if I can make a quick point, not to go back to the WWF thing for a second, but when you look away from wrestling, I think that the USA actually has a very good chance of not only getting a stay and getting an appeal, but perhaps winning this case in the long run. If you consider what's going on right now with companies like Microsoft and Big Tobacco, we are in a political climate right now where big corporations, monsters like CBS Viacom, are looked at as sort of the bullies on the block. And when you consider what Bob brought up earlier, that in fact USA did not have to match the entire offer and that it was just a few technicalities, I think another court in another day could look at USA being bullied by this monster network and not let the deal go through. I think this thing is far from over, and this is probably the worst time I can think of as far as the way the courts have been swaying in the last 15 years for Viacom to even trying this out.
Theoretically speaking, Bob, if this ends up with USA getting a victory there, what would stop the World Wrestling Federation from creating even additional programming for these networks and maybe making Raw or making the agreements that they have less of a priority?
I don't know what the contract says specifically. I would imagine it has some very strict competitive restrictions that would say that USA would maintain the cable rights to any of those programs and any additional programs the WWF might have. It apparently did not have anything to do with the network rights. That's why UPN is airing SmackDown. But I don't know. I haven't seen the contracts. I don't know exactly what the specifics will be on that. But I would guess there's any number of things that could still happen.
All right. Well, we'll keep a close eye on that again and continue to check out this very program for the latest updates on that situation. Coming up Monday, we're going to be bringing you Reload, and that is going to be our 1-hour video audio program live from Jacksonville, Florida. And we will resume to our normal schedule with the post-show there and, of course, Tuesday through Friday on WCW Live. Also, after Bash at the Beach, we are going to have a pre-show, I guess, and that will be our normal pre-show we do after every pay-per-view for your thoughts and comments.
Post-show.
A post-show.
Right. Pre-shows come before the event. Post-shows are after.
You know what's amazing about this? I'm the only one here, actually, or not the only one, but I'm not the one here who's had drinks tonight. So that's the amazing thing.
Right.
And it wasn't you either, Bob.
Right.
And it wasn't a female.
Right.
Right. But would you know it? That's the big issue. The pay-per-view tonight, let's go ahead and give it some, or the pay-per-view this Sunday, let's go ahead and give some previews and some predictions on what we're going to be seeing tonight.
Some post-dictions and some...
Post-dictions as well.
Okay.
Let's start with the Cruiserweight title match, Lieutenant Loco and Juventud Guerrera. Your prediction on who's going to come out with the belt here?
I think Lieutenant Loco, and I think that it's a good move to have the Cruiserweight division really, back at the forefront. I think these two guys are going to have a good match.
I would have to go with Lieutenant Loco on this one as well, and I think they're going to have a good match as well. Chad?
I think I'm going to have to actually go with the Juice. I think the Filthy Animals right now, if they had a belt to defend, could really bring up their heel stature. And plus, looking at the booking committee we have running things right now, I think that they believe that the internet, that they believe the regular casual fan expects a win for Lieutenant Loco, which makes me think the other's going to happen. Regardless of how this match goes down, we are going to see a phenomenal effort. That's true. We haven't really seen Juventud do what Juventud can do in a very long time as far as just the great aerials. I mean, he's a phenomenal worker, and I think we all agree Chavo, a.k.a. Lieutenant Loco, has brought his game up incredibly in the last 2 months. His time with MIA has certainly let him mature, get out of Eddie's shadow, and, of course, a lot of his family. So I'm going to go with the Juice on this one.
I am going to have to disagree with you, Chad, unfortunately, only because normally I would say the Juice as well, because I believe that Juvi is extremely talented, but he's not up to the full juiciness, if you will, of the olden days, because he's still coming off that injury, that elbow injury, and the Filthy Animals as a whole, they're just not up to par yet. We've got K-Dog, who's went in for surgery, I think.
Thursday.
With his tricep, and so he's not going to be able to be a big player for them. And Rey Mysterio, he's still definitely, you can tell in his performance that he's not 100% back from his knee. Tigress can help with Major Guns a little, and I'm sure that Hip Hop Inferno.
I've offered to help with Major Guns. Anything I can do.
I'm sure many have. But I really think that the Lieutenant Loco, having improved his game so much and being so strong right now, I think that he's going to really pull this out. I think the Filthy Animals within the upcoming months are going to definitely be a force to contend with, but this time around is going to be less so.
You think because Juvi isn't as juicy as he could be, that's the difference.
Right. But you never know. He could maybe take a juice supplement or something.
There you go. Talk about a great analysis of a match.
So that is 3 for...
Can I change mine?
You would like to change yours?
Yeah.
Okay, this is unprecedented, but go ahead.
I'm going to go with Juvi because he's the underdog.
All right, we've got a split decision right down the middle. Chad Damiani and Bob Ryder going for the Juice, while the lovely Spice and yours truly going for Lieutenant Loco. All right, we've got the graveyard match up next, guys, the Demon and Vampiro one-on-one.
I am going to pick Vampiro. And I don't know why, because it would make sense that for this to lead somewhere else, the Demon would win. With something happening during this match with interference of some kind that would take Vamp into a different direction. I think Vamp's going to get the win. What do you think, Spice?
I think Vampiro, only because he is at home in that graveyard. I mean, that's I think it's going to be quite an interesting match. Just talent and everything else, the storylines aside. Well, talent, he's got it. But I think it's just because that's his place.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, Spice. And it's not just out of resentment for you making me look like a tush during the last prediction, but the Demon obviously is in a situation right now where if he doesn't get this win over Vampiro, all the pushing that they've done is going to come to a dead, screeching halt. And I know that the booking committee, although very happy with Dale's attitude, might not have been completely happy with how the action has developed. I think when you consider the return of Sting, which is probably imminent in the next few months, and the Demon really needing a win over a major player whom Vampiro is now, I just don't know how they couldn't give that win to the Demon. I have to disagree with Bob and Spice. And Jeremy, I only hope that you will not leave me hanging alone on this one.
Hang, baby, hang. I'm going with Vampiro because, for a number of reasons. First of all, as Spice said, it's the graveyard match. It's his match. I will also say the Demon did get a win over Vampiro earlier this week, which Booking Philosophy 101 leads me to believe that he won't win this coming Sunday. Also,
I want to change mine again.
Bob Ryder, only 2 changes. You're going to use your second change
I'll
now?
use my second change. Chad convinced me.
You're going with what?
I'm going with a demon.
Wow. Would the real Bob please stand up, please stand up, please stand up?
It makes perfect sense.
Why?
Why?
Yes.
Because I think that what's going to happen is something's going to come up during the match that's going to lead to a different story, and that's going to distract Vamp enough for Demon to get the win.
I agree, but I think it's going to distract the Demon enough for Vamp to get the win.
You might be right.
Well, I mean,
I think Chad's right.
All right. Well, very good. I think once again, Bob Ryder changing his decision last minute, mind you, to side with Chad Damiani. Unprecedented. All right. Very good.
From what I understand, that's all of the changes that I'm allowed.
Unless you appeal.
Okay.
How about 3 each?
3 each?
Yeah.
All right. So Jeremy Borash and the Lovely Spice both side with Vampiro, while the tag team of Damiani and Ryder, Hop-Along Ryder, decide
Think of a good name for our tag team.
to go along with the Demon in this match. Next up, Positively Canyon versus Booker T. Let's get with Chad here first, so that way.
Get out your pen and paper, Bob.
What do you have?
I am going to go with the man, the myth, the Booker T. And I'll tell you why. I think Canyon has done a tremendous job in building himself as a comic character. We certainly can see a long-term angle forming with the return of Diamond Dallas Page that's going to get him some major play in a main event type situation. Whereas Booker T, who played ball, who put on the face paint and the camouflage and repelled to the ring when it really didn't work out, he's been given a second chance to be Booker T. And I think what we're going to see is a reward for a guy who everyone has been saying should have been a main event player for the last year and a half. I think this is the match that we're going to see him just completely dominate Canyon and move to the forefront in that venue.
Well, well, well. For once, we finally agree. I'm going to have to go with you on that one, my love, and for many of the same reasons. And just even if everyone watched Thunder the other night, I mean, his performance against Jeff Jarrett, going up, having an opportunity to go for the World Championship title is tremendous. And really, if it weren't for a few minor technicalities and Jeff walking out of the ring and not wanting to continue on with the fight, he had it. I mean, he really had it if the refs would have been there and made the count. So I think Booker T is a force to contend with and is just going to be in the spotlight even more with the days to come. So I'm in agreement. Booker T.
I agree with both of you. I think that the match on Thunder, more than anything, made Booker T a star. And I think that you can look back at certain points in everybody's career. Sting had the match with Flair at Clash of the Champions that they kind of put him on the map. And certainly Booker's had a lot of good matches. You know, the series with Chris Benoit was tremendous. He's had good matches with a lot of people. But this one, at the time that it came in his career against Jeff Jarrett, who really looked good in the match, I think it was a time that showed a lot of people that Booker is capable of performing at that level, and hopefully he's going to get a chance. I think that Booker's going to go over in this one big time.
All right. And, Bob, before I give you my prediction, would you like to change your last prediction?
No, I'm going to stick with that.
Okay. I am going to go with Booker T as well. I think the main event push he's going to get is going to happen now after this match. And also, I wouldn't rule out the fact that I think the Positively Canyon persona is leading to the return of Diamond Dallas Page. I don't know if it's going to happen at the pay-per-view or not, but if it did, I think that'd be playing a big factor in Booker getting the win there. So I would also side with everyone making it a unanimous lock for Booker T. All right, very good. Unanimous. Hardcore title match, Big Vito against the dreaded mystery opponent. Mystery opponent, always a formidable opponent for any champion. And, of course, mystery opponent will be once again making an appearance at Bash at the Beach.
I'm going to have to go with dreaded mystery opponent. I was privy to several of mystery opponent's training sessions. He looks very strong. He's cut his weight considerably. His wind is good. It's one of those situations where Big Vito has really gotten a strong push. And I think if Johnny Bull was strong, that we would have seen a match where Johnny the Bull finally got pushed into a situation where he could have had a good singles career. With that not happening, I'm going to guess the booking committee already had other plans for Big Vito as far as how he would move within the storyline, and that the dreaded mystery opponent, whom I truly actually don't know, will take the victory this Sunday at Bash at the Beach.
Bob, your call.
I disagree. I guess it depends on who the dreaded mystery opponent is, but I think that in this particular case, Chad might be right. They may have had plans for Vito moving after this, but I think that in this circumstance, they're going to go ahead and keep the belt on him at least for a few more weeks while they come up with a contingency plan. I don't think that this is going to be the time to take that belt off of him.
I would tend to agree. Big Vito against Johnny the Bull. I didn't see Johnny the Bull going over there either way. I mean, possibly with Terry Funk as his mentor and continuing that angle, but if that's not going to happen now and that's out of the picture, unless they put together an incredible storyline for the mystery opponent, I see Big Vito getting the win there and keeping the hardcore belt and keeping it into the next pay-per-view. Spice, your pick.
Well, being the last one here, I'm riding on all the coattails because you've all made excellent points. But I'm really in agreement, specifically Jeremy and Bob, not my co-host, because I'm going to have to go with Big Vito as well, because I don't think that Ralphus has actually trained hard enough. And
Ralphus is the mystery opponent. Oh, wow.
Ralphus is always the mystery opponent. I mean, if there's ever a mystery, it's Ralphus.
Well, sometimes it's been Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Of course, that's in a different promotion.
Yeah. Well, there was a time. Jimmy was around for us.
Yes, but he wasn't a mystery opponent.
Yes, he wasn't. You're right. So I'm going to go with Big Vito on this one because, again, specifically with what Jeremy said, that I just don't think, storyline-wise, they have something for this mystery person yet, per se.
Jeremy, what's next?
Actually, Jimmy Snuka was a mystery opponent for our company. For our company. Yes, he was.
Was he really?
Taking
Well,
with Chris Benoit on the cage.
Not reveal.
Buffalo, New York. Yes, indeed.
I didn't know it was a mystery.
Would you like? Okay. So you would like to use your change to change that last comment?
No.
No. Okay. Wedding gown match: Daphne and Miss Hancock. Yes, indeedy, it's going to happen at Bash at the Beach this Sunday. Somebody's taking off a wedding gown.
So to get this one right, you have to pick the winner.
You have to pick the person who is going to be taking off the other person's wedding gown.
I was going to say we're all winners in this match.
Do you have an official prediction?
My official prediction is I'm going to be pulling for Daphne. I'm hoping she wins.
Wow. Okay. Okay, gentlemen. Well, to do an analytical breakdown of this match, my goodness. Well, I'm sure that everyone wants to see Miss Hancock in next to nothing, but I believe that it's going to be Daphne that's going to win it, so you probably will get to see Miss Hancock, because Daphne is truly the more athletic of the two, while Miss Hancock can go out there and slap someone around and do her little dance. We've seen Daphne doing moves off the top rope, just getting into the middle of the action. She's insane. We've heard her scream. We know that she is capable of doing some serious damage. And hey, she still loves David, you guys. So a woman scorned is not a woman to be messed with.
I would like to give my prediction, Jeremy, but I'm having difficulty scrubbing the image of Bob pulling for Daphne out of my mind. But I'm going to give it a shot anyway. I think this is one of those matches specifically designed to give fans what they want. And although I was present at the Thunder in Norfolk, Virginia, when Daphne gave fans what they didn't expect on the big Thundertron, I do believe that ultimately it's Miss Hancock whom fans wish to see stripped down to her unmentionables, which we just mentioned. And I do believe that fans will get what their money's worth. This is a time for Miss Hancock, who's been teasing fans for quite a while, to be undressed in front of America.
Do you notice that he couldn't say, "I agree with my co-host Spice"? Did you notice how he couldn't say that he agreed with any of us? He had to do a little verbal song and dance, if you will.
I noticed that. I picked right up on it.
All right, so we have Bob. You predicted Daphne to win. Chad, you predicted Miss Hancock to win, and Spice, you predicted. Oh, Chad, would you please?
Does that count as one of his changes? Actually, it should count as two. It should count as two of his changes.
Double change.
He changed. Yeah.
All right, I am going to pick Daphne to win this one. I think it's time that we see what Miss Hancock has been teasing us with,
right,
for the last several months. All right, the United States Championship on the line. Scott Steiner and Mike Awesome, one-on-one. I'll go first on this one.
Okay.
This could be interesting because I think in some respects you really have to give the belt to Mike Awesome in this, because I think Scott Steiner's up for a main event run for the world belt. What good does this title do for Scott Steiner? Nothing right now, I don't think. I think it might be a good transition for Mike Awesome to get the belt and start actively defending the belt. So with that in mind, if Scott Steiner really is going to be getting a main event push, I see him dropping the belt and Mike Awesome getting it at Bash at the Beach.
I agree, and I think it makes a lot of sense to give the belt at this point to Mike Awesome. I agree with you that Steiner doesn't necessarily need the belt, but I think that in making the transition from Steiner to Awesome, they have to be careful how they do it so that Steiner doesn't come out looking weakened. And I think there's a couple of ways they can do it storyline-wise that can make sense, but it's going to be fun to see how they build this and how it develops on the pay-per-view.
Chad, your prediction on this one?
You know, I've heard both of your predictions, and I've digested them. But I believe, just like last year was the year of the monkey, and before that the year of the snake, it is the year of the mullet. But I don't think he's going to win. I just wanted to say year of the mullet. I really think Big Papa Pump's going to win. I think politically, right, now it's not my change. If I change within the text, it doesn't count. You changed after you gave up your final decision. Point being, Big Papa Pump is ready for that main event push, and although I do believe he doesn't need that belt, at the same time, I think in both Scott Steiner's mind and perhaps the Booker's minds, he needs to come off strong against a big player like Mike Awesome at Bash at the Beach. I think we're going to see Big Papa Pump walk out of there with not only a win, but a very, very strong win that will take him to the point where he can fight for the world title.
I'm going to have to say Big Papa Pump is going to have to come out of there for his ego with that win. I mean, everything that he has pulled over the last several weeks, I'm not really, this isn't a match that I'm really looking forward to, only because I'm sorry, you guys, I have a bad taste in my mouth for kind of for both of these guys. I guess Mike Awesome a little bit more or less so than Papa Pump, but just the way he has treated everybody backstage, on stage, his ego is bigger than this hotel. So I think just he's going to win it because of that. Otherwise, he's going to be a bear to deal with backstage and with the booking committee.
Now, we're each allowed 3 changes, right?
3 changes.
And
Go
I
ahead.
have used 2 of my changes.
Yes.
I'm going to use my 3rd change and go with Big Papa Pump because I think that the championship will propel him into the main event status with a #1 contender shot at the world title.
Aha. All right, Bob. Only 4 more matches to go. You better be locked in. No changing from here on out.
Just from here on
No.
out. Unless I appeal.
I think any appeals by now with your attitude tonight has been out of the question. All right. Next up, we've got a tag team title match. This one, I believe, is going to happen, even though Brian Clark's back is hurting him, from what I understand. Kept him off Thunder, kept him off Nitro this last week. Chronic and the Perfect Event for the tag team titles. Bob.
I pick the champions.
Perfect Event, do you think are going to retain the belts?
Right.
Very interesting.
Probably by pinning Woody.
Oh, well, there's a wrench thrown in. Go ahead.
You know, funny, speaking of Mr. Kearse, who's become very popular, they're actually making a doll, or they've already made a doll, because I heard someone in the stands yell, "I have a Woody."
Right.
But I digress. Let me move on to the match. I think, considering that I do not...
And I'm very I thought you were going to go the Woody Woodpecker joke. But thank God you dodged that one like a bullet.
I think that the marketing possibilities are endless. And, of course, the doll would involve very little plastic, considering he's 90 pounds. But I'm going to say that considering I don't know where Brian Clark stands, and his history for having long-running injuries that take him out for up to 6 months to a year, that WCW's booking committee would be remiss to allow these two to have the belt right now. And also, it's a testament to the talents of Sean Stasiak and Chuck Palumbo. Here are 2 young guys who've really gone out there and been silly and had fun and found their personalities. I think they should hold those belts right now. I think they need them more than Chronic does.
I will disagree with you both. I think Chronic is on a roll right now, and I don't think the momentum is going to stop this Sunday. I think they're going to just completely destroy Stasiak and Palumbo and be our next World Tag Team Champion. Spice?
Wow. I originally was thinking the Chronic because the two of them, they're just very intense and powerful, but that is true that Brian is injured, and we don't know the status of how serious the injury is. You raised very interesting points, Chad.
Bow to me, Spice.
No, never. But equally as good points is about the Palumbo and Sean, and the fact that they are two young guys, they are talented, and the more time that they're out there, and the more that they have those belts around their waist, they're finding their personalities, they are finding their skills and their talents, they're honing in on everything, and I think that they're going to end up being a very entertaining, little dynamic duo there, if you will, but it's going to take them a little bit more time to evolve into it, and I think it's happening.
It's interesting you say about them finding their personalities. When that actually happened, I understand they were confronted by Van Hammer. I want to know if there was an extra one wherever they found theirs.
Buff Bagwell and the franchise Shane Douglas one-on-one, former tag team partners, and now they're going to be going one-on-one at this pay-per-view. Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell, Bob Ryder.
I predict the franchise.
Any particular reason?
Oh, you want reasons now?
I'm just, usually you predict and give a little explanation, a little monologue, if you will, on your decision.
Probably disciplinary reasons.
Ah, interesting. Oh, we're getting political. It's no wonder I didn't ask her. I shouldn't have asked.
He just broke the formula, though.
Why?
What if we all started giving one-word answers? We'd be done in 3 minutes. But I am going to predict, I'm going to actually go with Buff Bagwell, and I'll tell you why. I think there's a situation brewing where the franchise, although a win would help him with his push, I think the franchise is the kind of player who doesn't need the win. I think he's sort of that sneaky, venomous character who can slither around and maybe lose to Buff Bagwell and build an army and come back the next day and do even more damage. Although the political reasons that Bob went into such detail about seconds ago are definitely a factor. What is that?
That's just some accompanying music to your prediction. Go ahead.
You scared me. I'm not used to having such high production values.
Thank you.
I think we're going to see Bagwell win this one. His attitude has been better since he's gotten back.
Bob Ryder, are you going to change?
No, I'm not going to change. You wouldn't allow me to do that, but I have more reasons. The next pay-per-view is called
New Blood Rising?
Right. So wouldn't you think that at some point some of the new blood's going to have to lose to set that up?
Boy, we're getting very analytical tonight. This is very deep, very deep. I am going to go with Buff Bagwell because he's the stuff. Spice, go ahead.
Rag on me for my prediction.
Keeping it nice and simple, I'm going to go with the franchise because he is sneaky. He is underhanded. So you just don't know what's going to happen out there in that ring. He is capable of anything, and I think he's going to use some of those tactics to take Buff Daddy down.
Wow. I like it when she says that.
All right, we have gotten down to the final two. This is it. This is for all the marbles. These are the two matches that the world is waiting with bated breath
for all
to
the
hear.
marbles?
To what our predictions are going to be.
Do you think Hogan might take his marbles and go home?
He may take his marbles and go home. He has not lost his smile, however, so I've ruled that out. All right. Kevin Nash versus Goldberg. Scott Hall's contract on the line, and Hollywood Hogan and Jeff Jarrett for the World Heavyweight title. Two big matches are kind of co-main events, I'll say, for Bash at the Beach this Sunday. Don't know the order of the matches. I don't know if the world title match is going to be last or the Goldberg match is going to be last. I would probably guess the Goldberg-Nash match is going to be the finisher. Is it going to be the closer?
I would bet that would be the case.
Okay. So with that being the opinion throughout the room, let's go ahead and predict Hollywood Hogan and Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett.
All right. Let's hear the Bob Ryder. No explanation. No explanation needed. Bob Ryder.
That's a great, the sort of no gimmick necessary. Who was that guy?
No gimmick needed, maybe?
Yeah, who is that?
That'd be Chris.
You correct me tonight?
Chris Candido would be the wrestler.
Too bad they don't have audio spell check the way you've been talking tonight. But I digress. I think Hulk Hogan is going to win this one because I believe when it comes to the backdoor secret meeting that happens after the bookers have made their decisions, no one is more cunning, no one is more clever, and no one is more convincing than the biggest player in the game of all time, and that, of course, is Terry Bollea. I do believe that they made a great statement by taking him out of a few shows, even if it was mainly to save some money. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to the way Turner views our product, Time Warner, AOL, I think Hulk Hogan has a lot more pull than we might realize. And I think when it's all said and done, he'll walk away with the gold.
You know, Chad, I actually, I'm torn on this one as well. I may have to agree with you on this, but I do believe that with the recent, shenanigans, if you will, that have been pulled, it seems that the response is coming back from the fans as well as our advertisers and different people from Turner and the networks. I think that Hulk is almost burying himself. I think that his popularity and his pull is not what it used to be. I don't know what his staying power really may be much longer. I mean, he did make wrestling. He is an icon. He is a legend. But how much longer he has in the game, I don't know. So that he may get the belt because of just because of the politics, because of the politics alone. What? Waffling. I'm not waffling. I said that I'm going. I said I may not agree
She has
with
3
it.
changes available to her.
I didn't change anything. If you would listen, just listen to me. He never listens. You see? But I'm going to go with Hulk.
I like to order a waffle
Politically.
and eggs and some.
I'm not speaking to you anymore.
I agree with both of you on what you said about the backstage politics. Nobody's better than Hogan, but I think that now more than ever, it's time for this company to do the right thing, and the right thing is to use the star power that Hulk Hogan has available to him to put over a younger talent, and Jeff Jarrett needs that right now at his point in his career, and it's the right thing to do. Whether it'll happen or not remains to be seen, but it is the right thing to do.
I think we're going to see a successful title defense by Jeff Jarrett, which will lead us into the next pay-per-view. And I don't know how it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be clean necessarily, but I think it's going to happen. And I don't know what we're going to see with Hulk Hogan from here on out. All right, Kevin Nash and Goldberg, Scott Hall's contract on the line. This one's it's going to be if we base it off of what we hear, a tough one to call because I think we're hearing 2 different things from different sources on whether or not Scott Hall is going to be coming back. Obviously, I think that's going to be the big behind-the-scenes determining factor on who goes over here. But at the same time, we also have a Kevin Nash victory already over Goldberg. Will retribution be paid this Sunday? I think that's an important factor to consider as well. Bob, let's hear what you have to think.
Before I say what I'm going to think, I don't know what the outcome of this is. I haven't talked to anybody, don't know what the creative team has in mind, but I would think this match has all the potential of being a really, really complicated, complex finish with maybe multiple turns. To totally shake up everything at the top of the lineup. I think we've heard a lot about Goldberg not wanting to be a heel. We've got a lot of things that could happen coming out of this match. I'm going to say that if I had to make a pick right now, I'd pick Kevin Nash, and I would have, at the end of the night, Kevin Nash the heel, Goldberg the face, and Scott Hall still not with the company.
Actually, you guys just saw him walk in. You don't mind if I put NWO Ross on for a second? Are you sure? Yeah. Okay, give him your phone. Okay. Hey, this is NWO Ross.
Hello, NWO Ross.
Good to hear you, Jeremy. You haven't been calling me for the show lately.
We've had a busy couple of weeks here with Live.
My feelings on the Kevin Nash match, and as you know, I am Kevin Nash's traveling partner, I'm kind of divided. Partially, I know that Nash would love to win this match, but there's nothing I'd like to see more than Kevin Nash passed out on his back. Give me that phone back.
Wait a minute. NWO Ross.
I apologize. I don't know.
That's preposterous.
Hey, give me the phone.
Call security. NWO Ross, get out of here.
Put your... Never mind. Can I talk now?
Yeah,
that was embarrassing. What does that mean?
What was that? What did he have around his knees?
There could be some pad of some sort. But I digress. We're looking at a match. I think Bob Ryder said it best. We have a situation where, for a long time, Goldberg just wouldn't lose. I mean, it's almost similar to the situation we saw with Andre the Giant in the late 70s and the early 80s when he actually had to change regional promotions on a regular basis because people lost interest. Now, you talk about Kevin Nash having that victory, that Starrcade victory, over Bill Goldberg, Jeremy. But in truth, 3 pay-per-views later, Goldberg got a clean win on Kevin Nash. I think the slate was clean there. But if I was going to send a message, I don't know which one I'd want to send. Would it be Goldberg can be beaten and anything can happen, or would it be that Scott Hall has done enough and really we should move on from it? Right now, since I have to decide, I'm going to say that Goldberg takes the victory.
I am literally left speechless because new to the whole, you know, to the whole roundtable and WCW live. I'm really, I have to say that I'm really impressed with your knowledge and your analytical, you know. See, I'm at a loss for words, which seldom does not happen. But to get to the point, I can't even top what you guys have said, so I'm not even going to try. I believe, Chad, the point you just made is perfect. Which is the better message? And you know, I think that it's going to be Goldberg gets the win, and I think it's going to be that, you know, what you alluded to earlier, Bob, saying that this company has to start doing the right thing, and this is another match which is going to symbolize that. We have to start doing the right thing, and that goes back to our long-standing problems that the company's had with them and because of Scott Hall. So I'm going to go with Goldberg.
Yeah, and that's one way it could go. I think either way that this goes, you're going to have something really, really controversial to end the show.
Absolutely. And I am going to side with Spice in the fact that I think we're going to see Goldberg go over Kevin Nash. Whether or not Scott Hall, you know, has a role in our company in the future, I don't know. But still don't know if that's going to happen. I've heard conflicting reports as late as yesterday. So as far as Kevin Nash and Goldberg goes, I'm still going to go with Goldberg for that win at the main event. So there you have it, gang. Hope you're keeping score at home.
3-1 on that one against me, huh?
3-1 against you.
I don't have a change left.
No, you don't.
Well, I'll just have to stick with Nash.
All right. That's going to be all part of Bash at the Beach this Sunday.
You all, however, have changes left, so you could change your pick.
Up until showtime.
No, absolutely not.
No. But as far as our audience is concerned, your predictions always welcome in the chat room as well. Interesting to see what's going on there. You know, the interesting thoughts on what everyone is saying about these matches, it really could go up in the air either way, Bob. I think it's safe to say that this is going to be a pay-per-view with a lot of swerves, a lot of twists, a lot of turns, and I think it's going to be a big transition as we head into the next pay-per-view with a lot of the things happening at the top.
I think so, and I think it's also a big transition leading into Nitro. I think this Nitro is going to be a special one, and it's going to feed on what happens at the Bash of the Beach. Traditionally, that pay-per-view has been one that set up the rest of the summer, and I think this one has the opportunity, especially in that Nash-Goldberg match, to really do something special.
All right. It's all part of the Bash at the Beach pay-per-view, a big extravaganza this Sunday, of course, starting at 3 o'clock with the pre-show for those of you who have Comcast cable. And the dishes, any dish that you have is going to be carrying this pre-show. If you can, I believe, check your local listings, and they'll tell you if you're having it or not, if you're going to be carrying it. A lot of the cable companies.
Or at 3 o'clock, just turn the TV on and see.
Just flip those channels around. We may be there. A lot of the cable companies, in addition to Comcast, are going to be carrying this. So from what we understand, a good part of the country is going to be seeing this pre-show. Myself, along with Bob Ryder, Chad Damiani, and, of course, Spice is going to be there as well. Spice will be, by the way, on the beach in a bikini. You're not going to let us down on this, correct?
Oh, absolutely not. And, Jeremy, not just one bikini, but, well, yes, just one bikini.
Come on now, please. And Bob Ryder, you will not
be an itsy-bitsy teeny-weeny.
Bob, you will not be wearing a bikini anytime during this pre-show, will you?
No.
Okay. Well, that's all part of... Chad will be. Okay, very good. Well, at least you'll be wearing something for once. HBO reference.
Right.
Time
Warner Company.
Hacked into Bash at the Beach happens at least, 90 minutes now prior to the showtime? 60-minute show, 90 minutes prior to showtime. And, Chad, a lot of things you guys have planned for this big extravaganza. You can watch it, streaming video on WCW.com.
Not to give too much away, because we always have surprises, lovely Spice and I. But Spice will be preparing some of the waffles that she created during this roundtable, which will be interesting. And also, we will see... Now, don't grab the microphone. I'm trying to give a pitch for our Hacked Into show. It's going to be a live party, Jeremy. We are going to be poolside. We're going to have a band and also a lot of very special packages. We will be celebrating the 3-year Nitro Girl anniversary. And also, I can say that 3 Count will be there for a very special segment. We are going to take what we did last month, click it to Spinal Tap 11, and just see what happens. It's going to be a good show.
You know, Chad, I'm going to hurt you.
I'm
going to hurt you very slowly.
I'd pay good money to see that.
we might see that on Hacked Into.
Spice, you've been great with us tonight, and I know that Chad doesn't really treat you with the respect that you deserve. If you ever decide that you want to leave that bum and come to our show, we've definitely got room for you.
Absolutely. I would like to extend that offer as well. And I'm glad no one mentioned the events of last night in an effort to embarrass me. And we're out of time. And thank God you forgot about the bit we were going to do. So
yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on, my friend.
We're out of time, gang.
This will happen, but while I will save that for another time because it has to be done properly, I will say that today during a very important meeting for the 5-hour pre-show that we have been killing ourselves to do, Jeremy Borash claimed that he could not go to the Spice shoot because of an appointment, which I later found out was with a masseuse. True or false?
That would be true. That would be true. Nothing against Spice. Nothing against her work.
What was that guy's name anyway? Next time, bring a towel.
Oh, very good. I walk in there, Mr. Damiani, Chad's tan of all things, working at a bathhouse.
Oh,
crazy!
Is that the best you can do?
We're out of time, gang. Bash at the Beach this Sunday, 90 minutes prior to Showtime Hacked Into.
I got his mom last week.
5 hours prior to Showtime with the Comcast pre-show. Any dishes, and of course, most of the cable systems throughout the country are going to be carrying this 5-hour pre-show. Please join in us in bringing you this pre-show. We've been working real hard on it, and certainly it's going to be a lot of fun. For Bob Ryder, Chad Damiani, and the lovely Spice, we will see you at Bash at the Beach this Sunday on pay-per-view.